Will computers revolt? When hearing that question, most people think of emotionless machines battling humans for supremacy. That's not what I'm going to talk about. Instead, I'll address questions like, will computers surpass humans to become the greatest intelligence on the planet? Will they take our place? Will computers and humans be in conflict? Will that conflict be violent? Will intelligent computers take jobs and resources from humans? Although today's AI, artificial intelligence, systems have remarkable abilities, they are not thinking in any general sense of the word. Those of us in the field now use the term AGI for artificial general intelligence to differentiate the idea of true thinking from today's AI systems, which do have tremendous capabilities, but more limited scope. Most AI experts agree that computers will eventually exceed humans in thinking ability. But then, even more questions arise. What would it be like to exceed humans in thinking ability? And will computer intelligence be just like human intelligence, only faster? Or will it be radically different? And the most important question, when will AGI emerge? Let's consider that question first. And the answer, sooner than you think. The real question is, why don't we already have AGI? Two issues have held us back. First, creating the computational power needed for AGI, and second, knowing what software to write for AGI. AGI experts have come up with differing predictions of increasing computational power of CPUs and estimates of the computational power of the human brain. The lines eventually cross at a singularity, with CPUs exceeding human brains in terms of brute force computation in 10 years, or 20, or half a century, depending on the assumptions. But this may be the wrong question. We all know that lightning-fast searches on a properly indexed database can produce results 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000-fold faster than the straightforward approach. What portion of AGI will be amenable to this type of software speedup? Boston Dynamics robots already exhibit the fluid motion and coordination which we humans get from our cerebellum's 56 billion neurons, 65% of our brain's computational capacity. And robots accomplish this with a few CPUs, not because the CPUs exceed the computational capacity of the 56 billion neurons, but because developers of robotic software know about physics, forces, and feedback, and can write software which is more efficient than the trial-and-error learning approach used by your brain. The nut of the argument is that brains aren't very efficient computational devices. They get the job done, but there are better and faster ways to approach AGI software which developers can use. We may already have computers with enough power for AGI, but we don't know it yet. Which brings us to the second question, what is the software needed for AGI? Most people look at the limitations of today's AI systems as evidence that AGI is a long way off. I beg to differ. Most of AGI's needed pieces already exist in various AI systems. They just don't work together very well. Yet. While the Jeopardy champion program Watson is an amazing achievement because it can beat human champions, it is unrealistic to expect that it would ever manifest understanding or common sense at a human level. For example, you understand coffee because you've seen it, poured it, spilled it, scalded yourself with it, and on and on. Watson has only read about coffee. You and Watson could not have equivalent understanding of coffee or anything else, because Watson hasn't had any equivalent real-world experience. For true understanding, Watson's abilities need to be married to sensory and interactive robotic systems in order for common sense to emerge. These pieces already exist in various forms, and AGI might all come together in as little as 10 years, much sooner than most people think. Here are 4 possible scenarios categorizing the conflicts which might arise between computers and humans. I'll examine each in detail. Scenario 1, the peaceful coexistence scenario. I'll start with the most optimistic scenario. In the long term, in this scenario, mankind's problems will be brought under control via computer-assisted decisions. AGI computers will help us find solutions for famine, disease, war, and overpopulation, and these issues will become obsolete. Computers will help us initially because that will be their programming, and later because they will understand that it is in their own interest to have a stable, peaceful human population. Computers will manage the technology, build their own civilization, and do their own exploration of the universe. When thinking of potential conflict, it is useful to consider questions of what causes conflicts amongst humans, and will these causes of conflict also exist between computers and people? Most human conflicts are caused by instinctive human needs and concerns. If one tribe, nation, clan, or religion is not getting the resources, power, or land which it needs, deserves, wants, or can get, it may be willing to go to war with its neighboring tribe to get them. We are all concerned about providing for ourselves, our mates, and our families, and are often willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for the long-term future of ourselves and our offspring, even if this creates conflict today. These sources of conflict among humans seem unlikely as sources of conflict with machines. Thinking machines won't be interested in our food, our mates, or our standard of living. They will be interested in their own energy sources, their own reproductive factories, and their own ability to progress in their own direction. Which brings us to Scenario 2, the Mad Machine scenario. There is a popular science fiction theme of a machine which becomes self-aware and attacks its creators when they threaten to disconnect it. This isn't a realistic scenario for several reasons. Humans have instinctive drives and emotions. We want to survive, to learn, to have stuff, to reproduce. We are goal-driven systems with our goals defined by our evolutionary and social heritage. AGIs will also have instinctive goals and emotions, for want of better words. The difference is that we developers get to choose the goals. Many doomsday scenarios depend on AGIs having human goals, which include their being territorial, possessive, greedy, and violent. These would be foolish goals to set, as opposed to being knowledge-seeking, understanding, nurturing, and caring. Even our innate self-preservation instincts are not necessary for an AGI. We will strive to set goals which make AGIs that are pleasant, entertaining, agreeable, and enjoy human company. We won't be able to sell them otherwise. And even when AGIs begin to program their own future AGI generations, they will pass on these traits, just as we try to pass on our own values to our own children. But let's consider some conflicts between humans and other species. Gorillas are approaching extinction as they are hunted as trophies, rhinos as aphrodisiacs, wolves were hunted because they were pests. At the other end of the life form size spectrum, the smallpox virus is virtually extinct, and we are proud of this accomplishment because it was a serious risk to human life. We humans need to take steps to ensure that we aren't trophies, aphrodisiacs, pests, or parasites. Further, this mad machine scenario is unlikely because it is the concern everyone is thinking about. Several organizations with prestigious members are working hard to establish ground rules which will keep this scenario from playing out. But suppose there is a machine which misbehaves. Whether such a machine occurs by accident or by nefarious human intent, such systems would also be dangerous to other AGIs. Accordingly, AGIs will be motivated to eliminate such systems. With the cooperation of the machine population, such individual machines can be weeded out of the environment, and the prospect of such elimination would act as a deterrent against such behavior. Thinking machines will be building their own civilization. Individual misbehaving machines will be a greater threat to their civilization than to ours. And just as we take steps to remove criminals from our society, future machines will likewise eliminate their own. Would AGIs start a nuclear war? In this case, the interests of people and AGIs are the same. A full-scale war would be disastrous for all. To look for the really dangerous situations, we need to consider instances where the objectives of humans and AGIs diverge. Issues of disease, famine, and drought have a devastating impact on the human population, while AGIs might just not care. Scenario 3, the Madman scenario. What if the first owners of powerful AGI systems use them as tools to take over the world? What if an individual despot gets control of an AGI system? We have a parallel concern about nuclear weapons, but bombs are difficult to produce and deliver. AGI might be just a big file download and a rack of off-the-shelf computers. This is a more dangerous scenario than the previous. We will be able to program the motivations of our AGIs, but we can't control the motivations of the people or corporations that initially create them. Will such systems be considered tools to create immense profits or to gain political control? There are already robotic weapons. Consider, will these become more dangerous if placed under the control of AGIs, which could be programmed to be pacifists? Will AGIs create a greater risk than our present supply of dictators? While science fiction presents pictures of armed conflict, I believe that with genius thinking machines, a greater threat comes from their ability to sway opinion or manipulate markets. We have already seen efforts to sway elections through social media, and AGI systems will make this vastly more effective. We already have markets at the mercy of program training. AGI will amplify this issue as well. The good news is that the window of opportunity for such concern is fairly short, because AGI capabilities will continue to increase. During the initial period, people will have direct control over AGIs and they will do our bidding. Once AGI advances beyond this point, they will be measuring their actions against their own common good. When faced with demands from humans to perform some activity with a long-term downside, properly programmed AGIs will simply refuse. Scenario 4, the Mad Mankind scenario. Today, we humans are the dominant intelligence, and many of us are not comfortable with the idea of that dominance slipping away. Will we rise up as a species and attempt to overthrow the machines? I don't think so. I think we will hardly notice, and if we do notice, we won't care. What was your reaction to a computer being the world chess champion? Well, that's neat, but it doesn't change the way I feel about myself or mankind. Or a computer which can beat you at Jeopardy. Or that robots are better gymnasts than you. Or that robots are now going to Mars and you cannot. Why should that so-what attitude change as machines get more capable? When computers are smarter than people, we still won't care. We probably won't even know. Today, news stories regularly announce the creation of a newer, smarter computer or robot. There are even announcements that computers have passed the Turing test for intelligence. Right now, these announcements are marketing fluff. But as the technology approaches true intelligence, we won't really know. And eventually a computer will top our best Einsteins and Hawkings. Maybe that will make a difference to us, but probably not. Will there be individuals who attempt to subvert computers? Of course, just as there are today with hackers and virus writers. In the long term, their efforts are troublesome but generally futile. AGIs themselves will be inconvenienced, but the rebels will move on to other targets and leave the indestructible computer intelligence alone. Will we wage war on the AGIs? I have said we are relatively safe from them because we don't have what they want or need. But what do they have that we want? First, technology. AGIs will create the coolest stuff, and we'll want it. Will they be willing to share? And second, and this is a biggie, jobs. We've seen a lot of changes in the work environment caused by technology, and this trend will continue and accelerate. What will you do when there are only a few jobs which AGIs can't do better, faster, and cheaper? We can't all become artists, dancers, poets, or some other specifically human profession. We're seeing the tip of that iceberg already. Today, the path to great wealth is to own great computers. But consider a time when there are not many jobs for human software engineers, farmers, drivers, surgeons, and on and on. To prevent our own repeat of the French Revolution, we should expect a huge shift in our ideas about money, economics, and employment. Some futurists are predicting a guaranteed minimum income, but that's a topic for its own video. So will computers revolt? Yes, in the sense that they will become the greatest intelligence on our planet. We've already rubbed the technological lamp, and we're just waiting for the AGI genie to emerge. We won't be able to put the genie back into the lamp, so we had better be prepared. It is likely that if we do not solve our multiple pending calamities of overpopulation, pollution, global warming, and dwindling resources, thinking machines will solve them for us with actions we won't like. But these are a direct consequence of our own inaction. As in the quip from Neil deGrasse Tyson, time for mankind to behave so when artificial intelligence becomes our overlord, we've reduced the reasons for it to exterminate us all. And the time to address these issues is now. For more on this timely topic, read my new book, Will Computers Revolt? Preparing for the Future of Artificial Intelligence. Available now at Amazon and book retailers worldwide in paperback, hardcover, and ebook editions.